I think, what is it? Broxah is 1 or 2, at the lowest is 3. So that's why.
I still am asking you why you think Broxah is good, and you say his performance. What does that mean? Like
His ability to predict where enemy jungler is gonna gank, and the way Fnatic plays. Also, I do agree. Like, they do have a good system. I don't think their system shit. I think they're one of the better coached teams. But they're a team where Broxah. Go ahead.
I'll let you finish. I didn't realize you weren't done.
Okay, so they're a team where it's obvious when Bwipo's pushing up, and obvious due to certain path things that they are going to gank top, and Broxah's there for it. And they're a team with extremely good mid and jungle and top and jungle synergy when they play with Broxah, and their bot and jungle synergy is bad, but because they constantly play towards that, and their mid and top side plays up, the synergy between them allows Broxah to have good pathing and allows to have good performance.
I'm not sure that's why Bwipo plays up. Like, I think he just goes forwards anyway.
Yeah, Bwipo, from what we've seen so far, Bwipo will play that way no matter what. But Broxah's matching well to it. Like, if you have someone that's playing that way no matter what, and you can be flexible enough to make sure like that player is getting enabled and that player is doing well, that speaks well of that jungler.
But I would say he's not adaptable because he's played like towards one lane most of his career. Like, Fnatic will pick kind of a lane, and that's what you play for. And I think that's what Bwipo I think that's what Broxah has to do, because I don't think he's good at so their river control is so strong as a team because they'll play for like hard prio mids, right? Like Azir and stuff like this suits their playstyle very well, and that's why they'll have really good river vision. So when you have that in place, and when you're playing for enemy camps, or instead of actually playing for lanes or whatever, then it's not predicting where the enemy jungler is, it's knowing where the enemy jungler is. So, and then even then,
prediction is doing it with information. Like, of course.
I don't even agree that he's good at predicting where enemy jungler is, because I do see Fnatic laners get like random ganks from enemy jungle that they seem to be not prepared for, or that Broxah is not prepared for. And I think that is down to jungle a lot. So I think that's
not fair to say. Unless we get, inside knowledge, we can't say, oh, they got ganked here because the jungler didn't warn them.
So if there's an optimal player for the jungle to beat, so like go bottom and secure the Sheen back for Reckless, and then he doesn't do that, that's not bad jungling, or what?
Sure, I mean, in that example I'll give, but when we talk generally
that's like the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, though. These kind of specific examples. So I think, and then like the Reckless will just get ganked or die or something like this, and the play doesn't happen. Whereas if it's a top side win condition, I agree he's gonna do that, but that's just because that's the way they play. That's their system. And I think Broxah has to work within a system, or Broxah doesn't work. And that's why I think his jungling is not that great.
You have to remember, Loco's a TSM fan, so just being able to service one lane appropriately every game is like a fucking miracle to this guy. Like, he's like, just keep hold of him, put a ring on that finger, you'll never know when you'll get another one of those, motherfucker. Loco, what you've done here, Loco, unfortunately at the moment, is actually unfair, because you've done the Reddit move. All you did is point out what you disagreed with, she said. So now we're going to turn it on you. Sure, you're the Redditor now, motherfucker. So you give me your rating. So Bwipo, we'll do your version. It's between, there's 10 top laners, technically there's more, but let's say there's 10 starting top laners.
Let's go Wonder, Cabo. Those are like the easy ones off the board. Alfari, Wonder, Cabo, Alfari. Let me try to think if I'm missing anyone. Wonder, Cabo, Alfari. Wonder, Cabo, Alfari.
There's no other obvious ones. That's probably the best ones.
Okay.
Odo Amne, that's about it, but I think you're probably
I'll probably do 4 then. Yeah.
Okay, so he's 4th, right? Now, what about Broxah? He's 1 or 2, you said?
Let's go to the other one, then we can come back to it in this order.
Okay. What about Nemesis then?
Nuked up caps. I guess you can argue who is it? Holy fuck, humanoid now?
Humanoid.
But let's go Nemesis. Nemesis I'll give a variance on, because he's someone with very little sample size. High 3, low 4, but still low variance.
Okay, and then Reckless?
Let's go Perks, Upset, Patrick, Reckless, high 3, low 4. My high on, if we rate him high, he's a 3. If we rate him low, he's a 4.
Right, and then Hylissang?
2.
Holy fuck. Right. Okay. And then what's Broxah at the end?
Broxah, I think right now, either I would go Broxah 1, Zankos 2, or what is it? If I rate him low, Zankos 1, Broxah 2.
Right. So wait there. Well, then, by your own logic, they're overperforming the level of their players, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I agreed on. I said, what is it? Yes, their system is good, but it's not good enough to take a 5 weighted all the way to a 1.
And yet, basically, as far as I can tell, the 2 players you think are the best is Broxah and Hylissang, right?
Yeah.
But before they established their system, they couldn't win any games. So I don't know. Like it's really weird.
I mean, they couldn't. Of course, they couldn't win. Of course, they couldn't win games because if you have Faker and you don't have Faker, your life's gonna feel fucking different. And they had European equivalent of Faker, and they had to rebuild the system because their system was built around having the best fucking player in Europe, and they figured out a new system that you can play without having the best player in Europe. So yes, of course they had a dip. I think that's normal.
No, wait a second, because you just made it unreasonable there. You made it that I just went from having a team that was based around Faker, but in your mind, their team's like a bunch of the best players anyway. So what's the problem? Just don't play around mid. There you go, no problem.
What do you mean?
Sorry, do you have to play through mid? I wasn't aware of that.
Well, I think...
Well, you're telling me they have a fucking sick bot lane. No problem, play through bot.
They had the Faker of EU, and then the Faker of EU went to the international stage and started fucking ending, and they managed to play through that. So... I don't know. Like this logic doesn't make the most sense.
What do you mean?
Because Caps was legit dying like a couple times a lane to players like Scout and Rookie.
Sure, he died. I mean, he died, but he still had his performances. It's not like he died.
Like he didn't have like good game impacts in those games where he didn't perform well though.
Well, overall, a world. Okay, let's say Caps' like normal level is like say a 7, right? At Worlds, what do you think? Or let's give it a round number. Let's say Caps' normal level, like outside of world performance, is like a 10, not including this year. Leading up to the year, it was a 10, right? That's how they had success all the way in Europe. At Worlds, what do you think his level was? If normally his contribution to the game was a 10.
There were like against top teams, it was approaching non-existent. Against some of the weaker teams, it was good. Like obviously there were weaker teams in his group stage, so you got to see him style on those weaker teams. But I think versus like EDG, he didn't really have a super good game impact. Like that game was more 1 through AD, I think. And then the games against IG,
some were atrocious.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's really hard to give him a fixed number, but I think that he definitely had. He was like the coin flip Caps, right? And the bad Caps that came out probably because there was less like pressure. He had more pressure than he was used to from some of these mid laners, but not all of them. But some of them, either that or who just like freaked out and lost confidence or something like that. But I would say that if you go back and watch those games, it feels way more like Caps didn't have a very good impact. And Fnatic still managed to play around that. So I don't know. For me, like one changing, and then obviously everyone was fucking overrating Bwipo. Really, like obviously, really highly.
Well, the joke I made earlier was that I've had to go from being what everyone called me a Bwipo hater to now I'm like a fucking Barrett fan because I'm the only one who's not saying he's like the worst fucking top laner. Like, he's actually a good player. Just you have to play around him. Obviously, that goes without saying if you've seen him play the game.
So I think it's really weird to say that. Like, I don't think it's that strange to say that Fnatic's players are not all above average for Europe, because I don't think they are all above average for Europe. I think that that's a perfectly reasonable statement to make, and it's weird to me that when everyone who rates teams, like if there's a first place team, every player on that team has to be top 1 or 2 in their category.
I definitely didn't rate them that way.
No. She's talking about the trend. I mean, obviously last year, Loco, everyone would have picked all of the Fnatic players in the all-pro team.
The narrative around Fnatic is so weird for me because at the start of last split, they were all just dog shit exposed players because they couldn't win games. And then now, like, they're all the best players in the world again. And they're all fucking walking on water and saying, like,
I'm sure there's people saying that, and I think Fnatic fans are saying that, but I don't think they all have the best players, and that wasn't my argument. My argument is I don't think their system is good enough to take them from like a weighted score of a 5 all the way to a 1.
I don't think that their system is like insane. I think their system is well practiced, and that's why. Like their system is more well practiced than any other system in Europe, and that's why they're number one right now. I think G2 will beat them in the end because
Why
G2
do you
are
have
more
such
flexible.
a high Loco? Let's give your side then.
I think that Fnatic deserve to be top 3, and but I don't think it's because Broxah is insane or anything like that.
Right, you gave the example earlier of he's good at predicting where the other jungler is and matching him on the counter gank or whatever. Like, what other factors are there? Like, because you rated him very highly, you had him as 1 or 2, you had him ahead of everyone.
I think if you go back to this argument at the end of the season, my opinion can change. But from the sample size shown from startup summer split to week 4, I think he has been by far the most impactful and the best jungler because of all the.
Logically, based on that, he's your MVP.
If season ended today, yes, he's my MVP. If season ended today,
logically.
No, if it ended today, he's my MVP.
It's weird because
by the way, she already said it earlier. I don't think you were listening when she was listing the names off. You do realize Kelsey and Veteran wouldn't even have like Broxah top 4.
Yeah, I mean, sure, they're
like
entitled to their own opinion.
It's just weird to me to talk to people who rate Broxah as like a top 2 jungle in LEC because I think to myself it's like we can't even be watching the same game, so I don't even know how to approach the argument. So
sometimes when a chess grandmaster talks, the other side, it's really hard to understand.
Loco, here's the way it goes, right? You made the mistake of just tunneling on the Broxah part. If you wanted to make this interesting, what you would have asked is this. When she was thinking before how to rank Broxah, did you hear some of the names she listed, mate? One of them was Kadrill from XL.
Yeah, Kadrill and Cold.
Right? So there you go. Why not ask that? Why do you think Kadrill is a better jungler than Broxah? I mean, he's the worst.
Wait. I guess here's the question then. Under Fnatic's system, if they picked up Kadrill, do you think they would have the same placement or even better because Kadrill is better than Broxah, in your opinion?
I think that they could be a more flexible team, yeah. So on average, they could do same as 7 and 1 or even higher. Theoretically, I do think that changing jungle is one of the easiest ways to improve this team. Yeah.
Okay.
I
agree with Kelsey wholly. I don't think we're watching the same games because if Kelsey's statement is with Kadrill, they could have the same result or even higher. I definitely don't think we're watching the same games.
Okay, give me a reason why then. No, wait a second. He has to give a reason, right? Give a reason why.
Because I saw Kadrill play earlier today and I was watching and he was fucking up some of the most basic stuff. So,
like what? Just give an example. You don't have to give a specific example. Just a general example. What things does he do badly, do you think?
There was a gank on boss side where Braum was reaching around and then he went in a way where he couldn't get the Braum at all. If he stayed on the same side, he would have killed Braum 100%. Okay. So like just basic, like if you do this, then you would have killed him. But he made the mistake of going around where you let that kill go. So like even watching mistakes like that, I'm like, he's Jarvan and the enemy support is a Braum. That's the context. So it's one of the games from last week.
Was it the SK game?
If what is it? I don't know the game itself, but I know the context.
I remember the exact moment you're talking about, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, Kadrill, why?" But like that particular moment doesn't make him a bad jungler because I could legit show you moments where Broxah isn't even going to the right lane.
I mean, sure, but that's not what is it? I'm not saying that makes him. Sure,
right? If it's like he made a mechanical mistake in a game, then okay, yeah, Kadrill's dog shit. If that's the entire thing that you're rating a jungler on, then yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Doran said, "Give me an example of why you think he's bad," and I gave him an example of why I think he's bad. My argument was
but the only thing that's confusing there, Loco, I think what's triggering her there is you did make it sound like, well, just today I saw this. So like, aside from that, does he have other flaws as jungler you think he's bad at?
I don't watch him in depth to say, but if you ask me to give me specific examples, sure, I can give examples like this.
Because here's the thing, like, first of all, Kelsey actually in H2K has worked with Kadrill, by the way. He was the jungler in that team. So I'll just add that context to people who don't know. But I'll just tell you, based on people I know who've been around him, the area people praise Kadrill highly on is actually things like communication, understanding what the game state is at the moment, etc. So logically, just because he's in a dogshit team now, and even then XL actually has improved the last few weeks if you look, like the logic is, what would he bring to Fnatic? It's not that he'd be the same player he is in XL. The idea is, and I don't disagree on that, that's why I picked the example actually, is if you look, Fnatic does have some good players. So I feel like if they had a smarter jungler who had his own initiative and knew what the fuck he was doing, would come with people. I agree, kind of. I don't know whether I would personally pick Cadril as that person, but the what he represents, I agree, would be better for Fnatic, I think, than what Broxah brings.
Wait, so Doran, you're also on the same boat. If Fnatic played with Cadril, they could achieve this score?
I said I don't know if specifically Cadril. Put it this way, mate. I don't personally have Broxah as high as you. So, for example, I don't even need to do any of that. I think if tomorrow Selfmade wakes up with a Fnatic jersey on, Fnatic's a better team already.
Wait, actually, no. Actually, that wouldn't change my rating. I would have Selfmade.
I would say that'd be game over, mate. I think he'd be a fucking insane.
I mean, I think like Broxah's pre-planning in his pathing and understanding of his team's win conditions is not flexible. It's just not. And I think that his leadership qualities are kind of lacking based on how he plays.
As far as we can tell.
And so that's like why I have an issue, because I think to be a good jungler, you basically have to take control of the game. And that's why I don't think Broxah is like that great of a jungler.
Again, you have to realize this is the same Locodoco who thinks picking between fucking Acadian and Greg is a great like set of choices. Like, well, which one's the right one? It's like there's no right choice, mate. One's a fucking noose, the other's a gun. Which one do you want?
And like you gave an example of something mechanical, and I think that Cadril fucked up on. But in terms of his pathing or like how he's playing around the map, I think Cadril's better at that. Yeah. For sure.
Here's also a problem I'll bring up, Loco. This is why that's like, I gave that because she had mentioned the name already, so I thought it was fair to make an example. But I will also say the reason I wouldn't personally pick Cadril is I do think, unfortunately, he has a classic character flaw, which is a very common archetype in esports, which is that he's a guy who knows what to do and he can tell you what he wants to do, but he doesn't always execute in the game himself. So personally, I wouldn't side with Cadril. You're right on that one. But I can at least see the premise that Kelsey's going for with that one. Like what she thinks he would bring to the team, what he could do for them, and what Broxah doesn't do.
I'm honestly like really looking forward to like what other people's opinion is going to be when the show goes out, because for me, it's like, holy shit, that's fucking crazy to say Fnatic could do similarly or better with Cadril than Broxah.